What we're going to do here is have the story of the spiritual development of Jesus in childhood as told through Abraham.
In the beginning, Jehovah calls Abram to leave his father's house. The call to leave Haran is an awakening to something higher in life, a stirring in the deepest parts of Jesus' soul. Abram is the divine love or will in the highest level of Jesus' mind. Sarai is the divine truth or the intellect on that same level. Lot is the outer self of this early state. And so Abram leaves with Sarai his wife and his brother's son Lot. Together they go to Canaan, and we hear that the Canaanites were in the land. This symbolizes Jesus' recognition that there were hereditary evils in his human mind. In this early awakening and response to a higher calling, Jesus hungers for knowledge. There is a famine in the land. Abram seeks food in Egypt. Abram going to Egypt is a picture of Jesus gathering knowledge of religious truth from the Hebrew Scriptures to make sense of the stirring in his soul. Although his soul was divine love and divine truth, his human needed vessels for this love and wisdom to flow into. Gathering knowledge, Abram and Sarai's stay in Egypt, gave him these vessels. But there comes the issue of Abram fearing that Pharaoh may kill him, so Pharaoh can take Sarai for himself. To protect his life, Abram tells Sarai to say she's his sister, and Sarai is taken, as Abram predicted. This is an image of Jesus falling into a state of being interested in studying things just for the sake of building up knowledge, which threatens to disconnect truth from its purpose of love and service. Sarai, divine truth, needs to be restored to Abram, divine love. Jesus resists the inclination to study truth simply for knowledge and enters into a state of greater light and wisdom. Sarai is acknowledged as the wife she really is to Abram, and they leave Egypt. Jesus now has a new discernment between worldly knowledge and true wisdom. This process leads him to not only understand, but perceive that his inner self is distinct from his outer self. Once they've left Egypt, Lot and Abram must part ways. Lot, the outer self, settles in the lowlands, and Abram, the inner self, in the highlands. The separation from Lot gives Jesus' inner self the necessary distance to engage in combat against the hereditary evils in his outer self. There is war between kings. Lot is taken captive. Jesus perceives in his inner self how vulnerable his outer self is to loving evil and thinking evil things are good. Jesus purifies his outer self of these evils and the misconceptions that lead to them. After a phase of spiritual struggle, after Abram battles the kings and frees Lot, Melchizedek comes and blesses Abram. There is consolation after temptation. The first stage of union between the human essence and the divine essence in Jesus has been achieved.